Hi everybody, this is Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another book review. This is a book presented by The Moth, which is called Occasional Magic, True Stories About Defying the Impossible, forward by Meg Wolitzer, edited by Catherine Burns. And I'm actually going to read the last part of the book because that is the most telling. It states, The Moth is an acclaimed not-for-profit organization dedicated to the art and craft of storytelling, and a recipient of a 2012 John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation MacArthur Award for Creative and Effective Institutions. It was founded in 1997 by the novelist George Dawes Green, who wanted to recreate the feeling of sultry summer evenings in his native Georgia, where the moths were attracted to the light on the porch where he and his friends would gather to spin tales. Well, that makes sense. Each show features simple, old-fashioned storytelling on thoroughly modern themes by people of all walks of life who develop and shape their stories with the Moth's directors. All storytellers show their stories without notes in front of a live audience. Through its ongoing programs, the Moth Main Stage, which tours internationally, the Moth Story Slam program, which conducts open mic storytelling competitions in 26 U.S. cities, plus London, England, and Melbourne and Sydney, Australia, the Moth Community Program, which offers storytelling workshops and performance opportunities to historically marginalized countries. The Moth's Global Community Program, which develops and elevates personal stories from extraordinary individuals in the Global South. The Moth's Education Program, which works with thousands of high school students, college students, and educators in New York City and worldwide, and MothWorks, which uses the essential elements of Moth storytelling at work and other unexpected places. The Moth has presented more than 30,000 stories, told live and without notes, to standing room only crowds worldwide. Actually, that sounds like something I would love to do, but I hate getting in front of people. I don't like speaking in public because it terrifies me. The Moth podcast is downloaded 47 million times a year. Holy crud. And the Peabody Award, that's very prestigious, winning the Moth Radio Hour, produced by Jay Allison and presented by PRX, the Public Radio Exchange. I know about this. Airs weekly on over 475 radio stations nationwide. All these books include All These Wonders, True Stories About Facing the Unknown, and The Moth. 52 stories were critically acclaimed bestsellers. Learn more at themoth.com or org. It's not .com, it's .org, but it's really a sensational book. It's just, I'll take you outside in a bit. Give me a moment, okay? I'll give you, just give me a sec, all right? My dog's whining. Right. Anyways, the book itself is absolutely sensational, and I really loved reading it, and it's woefully short. All the stories are just mesmerizing, and they transfix you immediately. There's a tale of a woman who didn't think she was able to have a child, and she was known as a geriatric pregnancy, which is something that I kind of worry about myself, being that I'm 39, but I figure that it'll happen when it's meant to happen, and even if I don't have a child from my own DNA, I can still adopt, so it doesn't matter. I don't really care how I'm able to become a mother. Even if I have to adopt later on in life, it doesn't really matter to me, just so long as I'm able to have children. So that was very, it was extremely uplifting to me. There was a story about a young man who was given the talk, not the birds and the bees, but if you come from a traditionally Jewish family, and I don't know how true this is, I don't know if it is in most cases, but he was given the talk by his dad of how you should become a man and all this machismo, and I thought, that sounds kind of accurate, actually. And he idolized somebody else. It was a man who had robbed different places except for the Jerusalem bank, and that was a bank that nobody touched because it was considered, sacred, and he actually robbed that bank. And then he figured out it was his dad, and I thought, holy moly, talk about a twist. But there's a story in there about a girl who only had her stories, she and her sister, and they grew up in communist China, and her book, Little Mermaid, was actually confiscated from her and burned. But in order to keep herself going, encouragement, and just fortify the gumption, the determination and tenacity that she and her sister had, she continued to tell stories, and that never ended. And that was definitely incredible. The perseverance in that tale was just really inspirational, and it makes you think about our liberties as a country and the Second Amendment right, and just how we don't have it so bad, and sometimes we're spoiled, to say the least. Tales about a gay couple. I like the story in there about the gay couple who wanted a child, and they were able to find a surrogate, and it was kind of sad because the lady who decided to become a surrogate, her parents were Christian and really didn't want anything to do with her anymore. I thought, true Christian would never do that. I'm sorry. I don't care if it says that she was Christian. That's not what a real Christian would do. Just saying. Sounds like somebody who was dogmatic and very legalistic, short-sighted, and prejudicial. That's just my takeaway from that particular tale, because I know surrogacy is a very tense issue, and it's also very touchy. But it's one of those ethical things it's not black and white, it's gray. We talked a lot about that in my ethics class, especially medical ethics, which I found absolutely fascinating. And I absolutely love philosophy because of that. We really didn't get into the nuts and bolts of philosophy, but we did cover quite a few inspirational figureheads that were influential and still are in this day and age, because philosophy is a soft science as well as ethics. And yeah, there's a lot to be said about how things change over time, but yeah, we have a moral compass, and hopefully we know what's right and what's wrong, and yeah, perspective. It's all part of that, but what we should really know, there's certain things you just don't do, but nonetheless, I really love the story about the Christmases and the grandmother who basically saved the family with her confections, and the person telling the story said that they saved other people in their family, but they weren't ever able to get the divinity just right. It was something that they just couldn't perfect. But the stories in the book are they're terrific, and I picked it up just because I like the name Occasional Magic, and I thought, wow, magic actually does exist in this world. I mean, I've written about it myself. I've seen it happen, and I know it's a reality. Sometimes we just have to know where to look and how to identify it, how to realize that even the most mundane things can be magical, and we have to take account of that. But that's all I have to say about Occasional Magic. So until next time, live long and prosper. Ciao tutti.